25-pound slab. At least. Where's that fish box? We'll probably have to.
We have to start another one.
We'll start.
Man, all shit's loaded, and the Yetna is up big time. Saw so much debris coming down. A lot of shit coming down. About to go, we're not sure when. That last one, about 15 minutes.
Have a good one.
Have a good summer.
You too.
The beer's coming to us.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Tell us the bear story.
The bear story. Well, we all better sit down for this one, I think.
Okay, we're sitting.
Yeah, it was 1980. My brother and I and a friend decided to come up to Alaska. And we drove up here from Wisconsin. We left Wisconsin on June 1st. Drove straight up, got here on the 5th of June. And our plan was to do a little gold mining and find some land and do a little homesteading. And we went and checked out a few spots, did some panning for gold, and said, well, we figured out what else other gear we needed. So we went down to the town of Valdez, which is at where the Richardson Highway starts. And we picked up the gear we needed, and we were getting ready to go back in for a month. And we went back up and spent the night in a little Tontosina campground, which is on a little Tontosina River. And it was still plenty of light and stuff, so we decided to go out and do some grayling fishing. And my buddy and I went out. My brother was still gearing up, and we got out to the creek, which is about 150 yards behind the camp. And it's brush about like this, a little bit thicker. A lot of the tundra brush like you saw along the river, about so high, that scrub birch and alder and willow. And we were there about 10 minutes, and my brother had come, and he was fishing just downstream from us, and all of a sudden the brush just started crashing. And one bear ran right past my brother and right past us. I couldn't actually see my brother. I could see his rod tip from him fishing it. Ran about as close as that log, right past us. And my brother said he could have, afterwards, he said he could have reached out and touched that first bear when it ran past him. And it ran past him, and he goes, and all of a sudden he turned around, and there another bear was staring him straight in the face at about 10 yards. And he took his 9mm, shot one shot in the air, and the bear just came down at all fours and just came at him and slapped him to the ground, slapped him behind the left ear, tore his left ear off to the back of his head, slapped him on the other side, tore from his right ear back to the back of his head. He started playing dead, and it picked him up and throw him, and I was fishing upstream, and I'd see an arm or leg come up and hear scream and a holler, and I'd see a little bit of the bear and see the brush just thrash, and I went running over there. I didn't have a gun or anything, and went screaming and hollering at the bear. And when it was running at him, he emptied his 9mm into the bear, and it jumped the little Tontosina River, which is right about 10 yards across, and it leaped right across without touching the bank without touching water on either side. And it had a big blood spot on it, so he hit it a few times with that 9mm. And I went walking over there, running over there, and I was looking for him, and I was screaming and hollering his name, Chris. And he didn't answer, and I thought, he's dead. And I literally stepped right over him. And he was down in a little puddle of water, down a little hole in a swamp and stuff. And he was afraid to say anything. He was afraid the bear was going to come back, so he didn't say anything. And I literally stepped over, and all of a sudden he said, Lee, I'm down here. And I looked, and the first thing he says to me, he says, Lee, I saw a grizzly bear. See, I had lived in northern Wisconsin for a few years before moving up there, and I had black bears in my garbage all the time, and all the way up to Alaska, I was saying, I'd like to see a grizzly bear. I kind of like to see a grizzly bear. My brother said, I don't even want to see one. He said, I don't care if I ever see a grizzly bear. And the first thing he says is, Lee, I saw a grizzly bear. But anyway, I yelled at my buddy. I said, you stay here with him. He had a 44. I said, you stay here with him. I'm going to go back to the campground to get help. And I ran back to the campground. I got back there and I started yelling directions at people. I said, you go to the pipeline pump station. There was just a pipeline pump station about a mile down the road. And the guy I yelled at said, no, I'm a paramedic on vacation. So he came with me, sent his wife to the pipeline pump station. And here comes this guy, I swear to God, could have passed for Hoss Cartwright's brother. His 10-gallon hat, strapping on the 44. I said, oh, thank you, Lord, you know. But he came, and a paramedic came, and another guy came, and I grabbed the hammock that we had, and we went and hauled my brother out of the swamp and got him back to the campground. And they were about halfway back to the campground. The guys from the pipeline pump station came, and there was 2 guys with sawed-off shotguns and 2 guys with a litter. We put them in a litter, hauled them back to the campground, and there they put a neck brace on them, got them on antibiotics, and then we drove 45 minutes up to Glen Allen, and there's a small clinic in the town of Glen Allen. In Glen Allen, they cleaned all the wounds out and got them on more antibiotics and ordered a Learjet. And a Learjet came from Anchorage to Gulkana, and we had to drive to Gulkana. We got on a Learjet, and that night it all started at about 5 o'clock in the evening, and that night at 11 o'clock we were in Providence Hospital in Anchorage via Learjet. And from then on, there was 3 doctors working on him for 5 hours, sewing him up that first night in the emergency ward. And what he ended up was his left ear was completely torn off to the back of his head, and it didn't look like it was there, but they found it back there, and I sewed it all back on. They did a great job. I didn't think it was there. You know, I thought, it's history. You know, there ain't no ear there. And this plastic surgeon comes out, he's got gold chains all around his neck, cocky mother, you know, just, oh, I got his ear looking like an ear again. He's got a set of Polaroid pictures, A, B, C, D, E, you know, steps of working on it. They used a new process that him and another plastic surgeon had invented for working on ears, because the ear is a different tissue than any other tissue. So when there's pieces missing, they have to actually use pieces of the ear. So they had used some special process to do it, and they were all excited about it and everything.
Right.
And they ended up, he had reconstructive surgery 3 other times after that. He ended up with, his left leg was also tore in just about in half by the thigh. He had bites on both arms, on both legs, and in his ass. And, he was pretty beat up, but the worst scars are in the back of his head, all covered up with hair. And he usually got his hair long enough to cover his ears, so you don't even really notice. You know, if you're sitting on the left side of him in a barn and you looked over, you say, you know, what the hell's the matter with that dude's ear? And you wouldn't even know. And he doesn't talk about it much.
He saw a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
I saw a grizzly bear. Yeah. No.
Come on,
Yeah,
come on.
get out of here. Get out of here.
Come on. So
That's
what
enough.
saved
You know it.
What saved you, man? What saved you? Come on. Wait for this.
Try to get
You
this
guys
on
like?
tape.
Well, it was probably a boar. You know, the Fish and Game told us the reason behind it probably was it was right around mating season. It's probably a big boar chasing a sow around, trying to get a hold of her, and she didn't want to play the same game. But what you're supposed to do if a big old boar comes after you like that, you're supposed to reach down there and stroke them a few times. And you get them good and hard, and they usually stiffen up and freeze. And you got to get out of there quick, because if you don't get out of there quick enough, you look behind you and they'll be going like this. Come back. Come back.
Come back to Alaska.
Hey, man.
You're gonna want a copy of that, Mike. Yeah, good job, Lee.
The showstopper.
That's a true story.
That's a true story.
That's
100%
right.
true.
That's right. This is got autofocus, isn't it? Put it on manual and put it to infinity. What? What did you play this? Down McKinley, yeah! That's where we came from.
Great trip, Jim.
Nice trip, Scott.
Yeah. Terrible weather, but we lasted ourselves through it, didn't we?
We got a swimmer.
Alright? Alright? Oh no. That was on film.
Now stand there, you're gonna go down again.
Well, you got some snot.
Oh, God.
I'll tell you, one starts it in the water and one finishes it in the water.
Somebody fell in the beginning?
Greg
Yeah,
fell in.
Greg fell in, we got off the plane up there, and he went right over the fire. Boom, right in the drink. That's great.
It gets slick. And the thing is, wearing these slick bottoms is really bad.
Well, so you hurt your arm just like Scott did. And
No.
The weather cooperated, huh? Really? Jeez, and just the week before it was like, wow.
I was fishing today. What'd you get?
home again, man. See McKinley?